we're coming up next with our Level Up programming with Traci Gagnon with a special presentation of Lunch and Earns, exploding your EXP business and seeing your duplication soar. So take it away, Traci.
I'm so excited and honored to be a part of this incredible level up. And again, what a huge honor to be EXP Realty proud. So Lunch and Earns, explode your EXP business and see your duplication soar. So I am going to go through this at absolute warp speed. A little bit about me. I have been EXP Realty proud now for almost 8 years. I've got one of the largest EXP organizations out there. I'm one of the EXP Alpha influencers and so honored. Before that, I owned a huge Century 21 franchise. I was Recruiter of the Year globally for Keller Williams. I've written lots of books and been on lots of radio and television shows. And I'm very honored to say that I am the first ever metaverse bride. My husband and I, Super Dave Gagnon, the former head of growth with EXP, we actually met in the metaverse, and then when we got engaged, Jason Gessing said we should get married in the metaverse as well. So with EXP Realty, you can not only find a great career, but you can also find love, which is a nice little perk. Anyway, the New York Times picked up that story, and it's been in over 7,000 publications and news stories that we've been able to find. So EXP Realty got some really great PR out of our wedding, and we got to share our wedding with the whole world through the power of our metaverse. So anyway, 7 secrets for winning Lunch and Earns. Secret number 1, location. So whenever you start your EXP Lunch and Learns, you want to find a place that's cheap, okay? We started at our local country club because they didn't have any kind of minimum requirements, and they did meal packages for like $15. But it's great to start at a title company, at a mortgage company, any place where you can do it as cheaply as humanly possible. That's also a neutral site. But once you start getting some traction, once you start getting enough people that are actively involved, then you want to move into a really great location that people want to be. So like I said, we started with just having pizzas brought in, and that worked out really well. The advantage of having pizza brought in whenever you're doing Lunch and Earns is that, first of all, a lot of people have a lot of dopamine associated with pizza. It makes people feel good. It gives you a good carb rush, and it's a good, strong emotional food. Most of us attended pizza parties when we were little kids. So we found that when people had pizza, they were very simply easier to get along with. You also want to make sure that you are serving coffee, sodas, anything you can do to get people caffeinated. That's a really important thing too. And then you want to end with chocolate. And again, what we're doing here is creating lots of dopamines for the people that you're doing the Lunch and Learns for. But once you start actually, making some money and getting enough people or sponsors, then you want to move into the absolute coolest place in town. And we're going to talk about that more as we go on. Okay, so secret number 2, do it every single solitary week. It's very important to be consistent. The only weeks that you ever want to take off are, if it's the 4th of July or if it's a holiday weekend, something like that, where people wouldn't necessarily, expect there to be a meeting. But just because you're at EXPCon is not an excuse to not host your event. Find somebody that wasn't able to attend and make sure that these are going on every single solitary week. And the reason that that's important is because if you have a little rookie EXP agent that shows up with a guest and the Lunch and Learn has been canceled, it is a devastating thing to have happen. So we have been down that road, and we make sure that we have our Lunch and Learns every single solitary week, no matter what, unless there's a really compelling reason. We used to do them on Wednesdays, and then we moved them to Fridays. And I got to tell you, that is when things really exploded, because it's so much easier for real estate agents to feel like they deserve to take a break on Fridays, and people are just in better moods on Fridays. So if at all possible, do the event on Fridays at lunch. Secret number 3, you want to be sure that you're rotating your speakers. And the reason that that's important is, first of all, you may be the most polished presenter in the entire world. But when another real estate agent gets up there and talks, they're going to come from a different energy. And even if the presentation isn't perfect, people don't really necessarily even want perfect presentations. They want real, authentic people telling the EXP story. Pat Hayes, who didn't really have much of a recruiting background when he joined EXP. He was one of the first agents to join us in San Antonio. And one Friday, I just said to him, Pat, why don't you do the presentation today? And he's like, oh, no, I can't. Oh, yeah, sure you can. It'll be great. And he just leapt up there and did it. And I think we had like our highest sign-up rate at that point on. And then we knew, okay, first of all, everybody loves Pat Hayes. He went on to be Recruiter of the Year globally for Keller Williams, for EXP Realty, his very first year that he was with EXP. And the reason is because he was just so lovable and likable and so passionate about the EXP story. But the first time that he did the presentation, there were a lot of you know what I mean, you know what I mean. And guess what? The only thing anybody ever heard from Pat Hayes is EXP Realty is changing people's lives. Come and join us. That's the message that you're going to get across. The words are not nearly as important as you think that they are. And EXP has done such a great job of giving us wonderful PowerPoint presentations to keep people on track that anybody that's seen an EXP presentation 3 or 4 times should be able to deliver very, very well. Okay, and then this just shows some of our different speakers that we have. I used to live on the 39th floor of Trump Hollywood. That's where that particular Lunch and Learn is. I believe that that's the one that Glenn Sanford even joined us for. So we've had some really great speakers at our Lunch and Earns, that's for sure. That's one of our ones in San Antonio. Remember, we started San Antonio when there were less than 800 agents with EXP, and our little core group launched San Antonio, and San Antonio is now EXP is now the second largest real estate company in the city of San Antonio. So, and the way that we built and the way that we grew so quickly without any questions is through the power of Lunch and Earns. The other great thing about Lunch and Earns is it gets all of us together. It gives all of us EXP agents an excuse to get together and smile and give each other hugs and that wonderful love and connection in a happy, joyful, and peaceful place. So Lunch and Earns are not only great for building your EXP business, but they can be a wonderful glue that holds the organization together. We are all craving love and connection now more than ever. And because of what we've all been through lately, we crave getting together in a big and powerful way. So I believe that our Lunch and Earns will be more effective now than they ever could have possibly been in the past. So this is how things really change. So again, we started doing the Lunch and Earns on Friday, and we were able to get a sponsor that sponsored all of the guests that came. So if you're a licensed real estate agent and you're not with EXP, then our mortgage company sponsor would pick up the cost of your lunch. And then as EXP agents pay for our own lunches. And then when vendors come, or if somebody that's not licensed yet comes, they pay for their own lunch. Or if you're bringing an unlicensed person, so maybe you want to bring your significant other or a friend that's not licensed, then you would pay for that person's lunch. So that way there's not a really big burden on the sponsors. But Pat Hayes got a second sponsor that became our happy hour sponsor. And then the party began, let me tell you. We'll get into that more in a little bit as well. Secret number 4, have tons of testimonials. Now, I will tell you that this is one of the most powerful things that we began doing. So, for example, whenever we get to the section that talks about the Icon Agent Program, we were very blessed to have an Icon agent in the San Antonio marketplace, and they got up and did a 2-minute testimonial about the Icon Agent Program. When we talked about the stock, somebody that had previously been with a franchise and had been paying a 6% franchise fee for a decade or more, added up how much money they had spent on franchise fees, and they said, instead of giving that money to the franchisor, I took that money and instead I bought stock at a discount, and this is what my stock portfolio looks like today. So we would do testimonials about the different sections that have to do with EXP. And the funnest thing happened. First of all, it got more of our EXP agents involved. More of our EXP agents were showing up. More of our EXP agents were active. And afterwards, during the happy hour time, there were more people for people to come up and talk to. So if you were a top producing agent, well, you wanted to go and talk to the person that had achieved Icon agent status. And if you were with a franchise, you wanted to talk to somebody that had been with the franchise for many years. years. So what it did is it made little mini celebrities out of a lot of our agents, and it also gave our audience the opportunity to hear from a lot of different people about a lot of different things that EXP was doing to build their business. It's not just about selling real estate with EXP. But let me tell you a mistake that we made. So I asked one of our agents, hey, will you get up and talk about, we were just trying to get the message across that we did luxury, okay? Because, oh, well, EXP doesn't do luxury. Well, 8 years ago, people could say that because we didn't do a lot. Of course, now you can't say that with all the huge luxury stars that we have with EXP. But anyway, I asked him to give a testimonial. And this guy stood up and he started talking about this family that he met and this and that. And he competed against a lot of real estate agents, and the house was blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he did a 7-minute, he was in his story for 7 minutes when I finally just had to interrupt him. It was awful, awful, awful. So mistake on my part. I did not train the people doing the testimonials. So after that, what I learned is that when you give people a microphone, a lot of people want to hold on to it forever and ever and ever. And here's a really great example of that. So think about America's Got Talent, right? So whenever the performer is done performing, or American Idol, let's talk about American Idol. When the performer is done performing, Ryan Seacrest will go out there and interview them, but Ryan Seacrest holds the microphone the entire time. He doesn't let the contestant hold the microphone. The reason is because if he's holding the microphone, he can control how long they talk. So hold the microphone whenever your testimonials are speaking. But the other thing is you got to practice with them. So what we would do is say, you know what, Emily, we want you to do a testimonial about the Icon Agent Program. Can we do a quick little run through on Zoom on Thursday? And then can you come a few minutes early on Friday? So on Thursday, we would help Emily get her pitch down to 30 seconds or less, just a really short testimonial, 5 or 6 sentences. And then for the actual day of the lunch and learn, whenever Emily would come early, not only would we go through it one more time, practicing with a microphone and practicing, like if she had a slide or anything that she wanted to include the PowerPoint presentation, but that also meant that she was there early to meet and greet people. So it was one more person that was there early to talk to the folks that were coming. What that did is when Emily got up to tell her testimonial, several of the people in the room had already met her. They'd said hello to her. They felt connected to her. So you want to get as many of your people involved as humanly possible. And then we always did quick little 2-sentence testimonials at the end. So anybody that wanted to give a testimonial, they would just tell us before, and they could get in and say, hi, my name is Tom, and I'm traveling here from Boston. It's so exciting to see what EXP is doing here. Just something really short, very, very simple, but the pace of that, people love it. And again, you're getting more of your people involved, and you're getting more people experienced in talking in front of groups, which is always a really great thing as well. So, okay, let's move on to secret number 5. Get there very early. We have already talked about that. So for the most part, restaurants open at 11 o'clock, right? And we would always do meet and greet from 11 to 11:30. So we would tell people to be there at 11:30, and then we would start the meeting at high noon sharp. So I would always be there the minute that they would let me into the restaurant, which usually wasn't until 11. But when we were doing it at one of the locations, they would let us get in at 10:30, about the same time that the wait staff started to set up and get ready. The reason that you want to get there early, first of all, you want to be there early to greet guests. You want to make sure that you have tested your PowerPoint presentation. You want to make sure that the AV is working. You want to make sure that you have somebody there to check people in. And in a perfect world, the person that is doing check-in is not an EXP agent. So maybe it's the significant other of an EXP agent. We always hired somebody to come in. We paid them $20 an hour to come in and meet and greet people. That way there was somebody there at the table whenever people came in late. It's the best $20 you'll ever spend. And you want to make sure that you get people to sign in. And on our little sign-in sheet, it said, by signing this sheet of paper, it's okay to send me more information about EXP Realty. So it was basically served as an opt-in as well. And if somebody didn't want to sign in, that was no big deal. We didn't care at all. We also had name tags, and we had one name tag for EXP shareholders. So all of us EXP agents, and those name tags were one color. And then the guest name tags were a different different color so that you could immediately look at somebody and know if they were a guest or know if they were already with EXP. And we just trained our folks, listen, anybody that has a guest badge on, go and introduce yourself. Even if they're standing with another group of people, just go in and say hello. And that makes a really big difference too. So if the person doing check-in can only focus exclusively on checking people in and not need to worry about, being a little social butterfly, everything is going to go much more smoothly. So hire somebody to check people in, or have a significant other of, a friend or a family member of one of your members have people check people in. Makes all the difference in the world, I can tell you that. And if the person checking people in is a significant other, I can tell you they're going to have a bigger vested interest in making sure that person feels welcome. So when Angel Hayes, when Angel Hayes first started transitioning out of working in corporate America, she was the one that did most of our check-in. And let me tell you, because, well, first of all, she's beautiful inside and out, and people are so attracted to her. But because, of course, she wanted Pat to win, and to win in a really big way, she had that extra level of desire to really nurture and serve. So let me throw that in there too. Very, very important. Another reason that you want to get there really early is you want to make sure your technology is working. After about our third lunch and learn where we had issues, we always brought 2 computers. We brought 2 of the little remote control thingamadoohickeys. We always had a hotspot in case the internet was down. We checked and checked and checked and checked that the AV was working. That is so incredibly important. And then after about 6 months or so, I finally had the idea, well, what if I had like a go bag that I kept in my car? So I got one of those nifty little computer bags that had, sheets of paper. It had markers. It had the name tags. It had 2 or 3 of the remote controls. It had extra batteries for the remote controls. It had pins. Anytime anything came up where there was an issue, okay, well, we need to add that to the go bag. And that go bag just lived in my car every single solitary time. Terribly, terribly, terribly important. Another thing you want to do is get some of those nifty little banners, the EXP that gets free, realtors get free with EXP banners that a lot of us have. And have those set up at the door to the restaurant or the door to the entryway. And here's the reason why. Not only does it let realtors know, hey, I'm in the right place, but it's really awesome advertising for your EXP business to other people that just happen to be dining at the restaurant. So those banners can make you money as well. Okay, secret number 6, invite everybody. It is not your job to decide if EXP Realty is a good fit for somebody. It's their decision. So you always want to give the opportunity to everybody. So I've got a couple of really great examples of that. So let's pretend that you're an unenlightened junior high kid, okay, middle school kid, and you're in homeroom. And I know this would never have happened to any of you guys because we were all much more enlightened whenever we were 12. But you're in your homeroom class, and one of the really dorky kids, one of the kids that nobody likes, is talking about a party that he's going to have that Friday night. My parents are out of town. I'm having a party, and he starts inviting people around you, and you can hear him inviting people. Now, you wouldn't go to this person's party if you had no other choice. If zombies were coming towards you, you wouldn't go to this kid's party. But don't you want to be invited? We all want to be included. I would always rather be invited to a party that I don't want to go to than not be invited to a party that I didn't want to go to. And I have a really powerful story about that from my own personal life. So my sweet husband, Super Dave Gagnon, was the original head of growth for EXP Realty. And he came over, he was agent number 123. And when he first started thinking about, wow, how can we really build this company? Who are the people that I know? And he ran 7 Keller Williams offices. So his center of influence was Keller Williams team leaders. Who do I know that I really like, that's a good friend, that would knock it out of the park? And he kept thinking about Gene Frederick. Gene Frederick kept coming into his brain. And Dave was like, oh no, Gene Frederick would never do this. He bleeds Keller Williams. He loves Keller Williams. He's almost retired. He would never do this. He's got plenty of money. He hardly works anymore, yada, yada. Oh, I'm not calling Gene. I'm not calling Gene. I'm not calling Gene. And so Dave got a call from Jason Gessing, president of EXP Realty, and said, hey, Dave, we got this guy with Keller Williams that's thinking about coming over. Would you be willing to talk to him? Sure, I'd be happy to. What's his name? Gene Frederick. So Gene Frederick was recruited to EXP by another real estate agent. And if Dave had called Gene Frederick first, there's a pretty good chance that Gene Frederick would be on Team Dave. So I figure to date, that's cost Dave well over, Rob Flick just hit 20,000 agents. So 25, 30,000 agents that cost him. It's not your job to decide who is a good fit for EXP. It's your job to invite people that you like, that you care about, that are good, wonderful real estate agents. And those are the people that you want to invite. So basically invite everybody as long as they're nice. I loved what Jay was saying about that. We always want to work with people that are nice and that we care about. So again, it's not your job to decide who should come to EXP. It's your job to invite everybody. And because you sure don't want somebody that you've thought about inviting show up at a lunch and earn invited by somebody else. Well, we have all been there as well. Secret number 7, put it on steroids. So once you get the basics done, okay, once you get a good core group, once you've got enough people where, you know what, we can stop doing it at a title company, we can do it at a restaurant. And the challenge with doing it at most restaurants is they're going to require a minimum. So if there's a minimum of 20 people and it's a minimum of $25 a head and you've got 3 people there, you're going to be striking some big checks. But once you've got a good enough core that you can put it on steroids, now I'm going to teach you the secrets to really making this thing rock and roll. You want to find the coolest restaurant in town. So remember, everybody wanted to go to the Roxbury and party, right? And people would stand in line. So what we discovered is that if we did our lunch and earns at a restaurant where people really wanted to go, it was easier to invite people. So we have a restaurant in San Antonio called Stoneworks. And on Thursday night, Stoneworks is where everybody that is anybody goes for happy hour, right? It's the place where if you're not there at 4:45, you're going to be standing all night, but you don't care because it's where everybody goes for happy hour, all the professionals. And a lot of real estate agents were going there for happy hours. So Pat reached out to Stoneworks and said, hey, listen, can we do our lunch and earns there? They've got a little private room on Fridays. And so, some of the agents would actually go to happy hour on Thursday because real estate agents, we got a lot of famous real estate agents, and they would find real estate agents, people that they knew, and just casually invite them. So you want to have it at the coolest restaurant that you possibly can, a restaurant that everybody knows, everybody wants to go to. A really common mistake people make is they go to restaurants that are always dead because those restaurants will cut you better deals, right? If you've got a local cafeteria that nobody wants to go to, well, guess what? Your EXP prospects are not going to want to go there either, and neither are your EXP Realty agents. So go somewhere super, super fun. And then you also want to find I don't know if I covered this already, but one of the things that Pat did is we had a happy hour sponsor. So we had the sponsor that covered the cost of the guests, and then Pat added a happy hour sponsor. And the happy hour sponsor picked up a round of drinks for everybody after the EXP presentation. Oh my gosh, that was such a stroke of genius on Pat Hayes' part. Let me tell you. And here's the reason why. Guess what? Real estate agents quite often will stay longer if you give them free alcohol. And here's what else we discovered, that after a drink or two, people started asking a different level of questions. They started being a little bit more honest. They started being a little bit more open. So anyway, keep that in mind too. Now, of course, you want to make sure people are not getting blitzed. So you want to make sure they're only having a drink or two. And like anything else, you want to be very responsible and respectful of that. But what I'm telling you is that we went from our happy hours, we would have the lunch and earns, we'd start at 11:30 with meet and greet. We would start at 12 with our actual lunch and learn. We would do our best to be done by 1, but that didn't usually happen. We usually more like about 1:15 or so. And then everybody would be out of there by 1:30. Well, when Pat introduced a happy hour sponsor, oh my gosh, people were staying till 3:30 or 4 o'clock. So it was even more love and connections. It was deeper levels of conversations. It really changed everything. So that's a great way to put it on steroids as well. And then we always had giveaways. So my most recent book, Millionaire Mindset for Real Estate Wealth, you can get it on Amazon. I sell this as cheaply as Amazon will let me sell it for. It's at, I think, $3.56 right now. And that's because it's not a profit center. It's just something that I want every real estate agent to get their hands on. You can download it to Kindle for 99 cents. But I would give away these books to every single real estate agent that came in. So, once all of our agents Of course, if you came to 2 or 3, you probably didn't want 2 or 3 books, but it was a nice little giveaway. So you can give away my books. You can give away Gene Frederick's books, 101 Ways to Lead Generate. You can give away copies of any like little bitty motivational books. They sell a lot of those little motivational books, like famous quotes and things like that you can buy for less than $1. You want to give them something tangible to take home. At the beginning, we actually had a really cool 8-page EXP flyer that was basically just a lot of the company slides that we printed out, and we would hand that out. We stopped doing that because, oh my goodness, it just became too cumbersome. But that was probably a mistake. We probably should have continued those handouts. The great thing about having a handout for people to take home is when somebody goes home and they talk to their significant other, they go home and they talk to their husband. Oh my gosh, honey, I went to this luncheon and I learned about this new real estate company. Oh, well, tell me about it. Oh, well, they don't have a office and they have something where they give you money back and you get stock. I mean, it's, you've only seen it once. It's hard to explain it. But if you have a handout, then they've got something that they can share with their family and talk more about the real estate company. So if you don't have handouts, at least have a sheet of paper that will send people, somewhere where they can get a little bit more information. That's so incredibly important. I really am a big fan of the handouts. And you can connect with me if you'd like any additional material. Of course, I'm going to be at Build next week, so hopefully I'll see you guys there. I'm on Facebook, every single, any place that you could ever imagine, you're going to be able to find me. Certainly you can reach out to me in Workplace. And I'm always here to serve you and help you and support you. eXp Realty completely and totally changed my life. It set me financially free, and it's set a lot of other real estate agents financially free. But above and beyond that, it has given me a different level of joy and happiness in my real estate career. When I was with my previous real estate companies, I was there to sell real estate, and I certainly made a lot of friends, but I didn't feel this deep level of connection. And there wasn't this challenge to always learn more and become more and to grow personally, that the way that eXp has really inspired so many of us to do. I tell people all the time that eXp Realty is a personal development company cleverly disguised as a real estate company. And there's so much truth to that. eXp Realty really does set real estate agents free. And I just believe that it is our mission to set as many real estate agents free as humanly possible. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that for real estate agents that want to grow, eXp is the best place. We're not the best place for every real estate agent, but I do truly know in my heart of hearts, and from researching every model out there that I could ever get my hands on, eXp Realty is the place to go if you want to grow and prosper and learn. So anyway, Traci Gagnon, such a pleasure to be with you guys today. And if there's any way at all that I can serve you, please reach out to me in any way that you'd like to. That's all I got.